All right, so sleep training. Dear Lord, help us all. If you guys have stumbled across this video or you're taking the time to watch it, chances are you're either thinking about sleep training your little one, or maybe you're already in the process and you just want to see what someone else's experience looks like. I'm really hoping that this video will help you guys with that. If you guys are new here, my name is Kayla, and I wanted to say welcome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm a mom of two. I have two little ones. I have a toddler, Riley, who's 2.5, and I have my 7-month-old son named Jackson. So this video is all about Jackson, how we're sleep training him, because it was time for that, okay? Jackson co-slept with me most of his life. He was either right next to my bed or in bed with me when he was in his own bassinet. He really would only stay for maybe like 30 minutes, and then at some point in the night I'd have to bring him into my bed. But basically we were co-sleeping for the last 7 months, and I'm freaking sleep deprived, and I needed to finally get him to sleep. So in this video, what you guys are about to see is a week-long progression of just me recording my thoughts and my experience with sleep training Jackson for both nights and naps. And my intention is really just to show you what my experience with sleep training was. There is no right and wrong way, at least in my opinion. There's no right and wrong way of doing this. I think that every family has to figure out what works best for them. I also want to preface this by saying that I know sleep training is controversial. This is not for everyone, and I'm not telling you that you have to sleep train your baby. So if you're not into it, you don't like it, just don't sleep train your baby. But what you do not need to do is leave me a nasty comment down below, because I'm gonna delete it. You're gonna waste your time writing it. When I sleep trained my daughter Riley 2 years ago, I also did a week-long video diary, and I'm gonna link that video along with all the other sleep training videos that I have done here on my channel down below in the description box. So if you guys just want to like binge watch all of the sleep training videos, just check out the description box. You'll have links to all of them. And most importantly, this is part 2 in my sleep training series for Jackson. So if you have not seen part 1, I highly recommend that you watch that one first. I'm gonna link it up here, and then I'm also going to link it down below in the description box. That is my first 24 hours sleep training Jackson. So you guys see the very first night, and I also show you the first entire day of naps. So that's kind of more in depth. I show you exactly when I go in for the check-ins and what the check-in process looks like and all of that. So for like a more detailed view of what the sleep training entails, and I go into more about Ferber and all of that, go check that video out first, and then you guys can continue watching how the rest of the week plays out. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and now let's hop into the rest of the week. All right, so today is technically day 2 of doing nap sleep training, and I just wanted to show you my situation. So Jackson has been super clingy, and I think he's teething. He's not feeling the best. So this morning I was gonna go put him down for his first nap of the day, but I had to nurse him because he was hungry and he was just fussy. So I put him on my boob and he fell asleep. So I just let him take his first nap of the day on me. Is that sleep training? No, that's not what you want to do during sleep training. But I show you this because at some point you kind of got to listen to your gut and your instinct. And today my mom instinct was telling me that he just needed some comforting, and he needed just to be on my boob, and that's okay. And we'll keep sleep training with the next nap, but this is what nap number 1 looked like today. So Jackson is down for his second nap. Remember, the first nap he slept on me. I put him in his crib and he is crying. But today is a new set of intervals. So today the intervals are actually 10, 12, and then 15. And then 15 minutes all the way until they go to sleep. So I had to look up the chart and remember what the intervals were. I gotta wait 10 minutes before even going there the first time. And then we'll keep going from there. So yeah, this is nap 3. I don't know what's going on today. Like, I think because his nap before was like only 17-18 minutes long, he was super tired because I had him in here and we were doing laundry. I was doing some stuff around the house, and he fell asleep, and it's only like 2 o'clock or something like that. So normally his third nap of the day isn't until like 4. So I don't know if he needed like a little mini cat nap in between or what is going on. I told you, I don't think he's feeling super well. I promise you he's in there somewhere. So I'm trying to not be too upset about it. Again, this is sleep training week, and this is not what typical sleep training will look like, but I'm gonna go with the flow. He obviously needs extra sleep and extra cuddle, so I'm gonna let him have his nap here in the carrier, and then I'm hoping that he'll do a 4th nap, like closer to 4 or 5 o'clock, and then after that we'll do bedtime. So I will keep you guys posted. So today for sleep training has been absolutely awful. Day 2, has sucked. He is literally in his bed crying, but let's backtrack. So I think the last time I talked to you guys was when I was gonna put him down for like that last nap, and I put him in there. I went in at 10 minutes, he was still screaming bloody murder. I went in at 12 minutes, still screaming. But then the problem was that I think I put him down like around 4 something. I have it here. Okay, so I put him down at 4:55, really close to 5 o'clock. I did the 10, I did the 12, but then after that he was still kind of crying, and it was 5:39. And he was still not asleep. He was still crying. So I called it a loss and I went to go get him, because my fear was that if he did go to sleep after 5:30, that it was gonna be too close to like nighttime sleep. Like if he slept until 6 something and then I tried to put him down again like at 7:30 or something like that, he was just not going to do that. So I said, forget the nap, we'll just, you know, hold him off until it's time to put him down and do like an earlier bedtime. So that's what I did. And it's funny because Joe was holding him, like after dinner Joe was holding him, he took him outside, and Joe even came inside and was like, dude, this guy's like falling asleep on me. So he is dead tired. He is so tired. And so I went and I did his bath time routine. I bathed him, got him in his jammies, everything was dark. I even sat in the nursery with him on the floor against his crib and I nursed him so that, I don't know, he just starts getting more used to his room. And I worked really hard to make sure that he didn't fall asleep on the boob, because I did it I think last night, and I just want him to actually do the falling asleep by himself. So I did that, and he's screaming right now. Like I put him down 5 minutes ago, but he is screaming a ton, and he is tired. Like this guy hasn't slept at all today. So he has to be super tired. I just don't know why he's fighting it so much. So here's to hoping that at some point he will go to sleep and that he can get some rest, and that hopefully tomorrow he won't be so cranky and so like resisting of all the naps. Like I mentioned, I know that he's going through something, or like his teeth are bothering him, I think, because he's been drooling a ton. But this kills me. Like this is not fun. This is not pleasant. My anxiety is through the roof today. Like whenever you do sleep training, it's not pleasant, but today especially, for some reason, my anxiety is just skyrocketed. But it's also frustrating because you're like, damn it, like go to sleep. Like I want you to sleep, and they're fighting it. So I don't know how long he's gonna do this. I will let you guys know tomorrow how he did with his nighttime sleep. But as far as his day today, his daytime naps have all sucked. All right, good morning guys. Here with little Jackson. I think he has a teething rash. I think his cheeks are red because he is teething, which would explain why he has been a terrible sleeper. So let's talk about night 3. So I tried this time really hard to not let him fall asleep on my boob. So I put him in the crib at 7:16. It was kind of like an early bedtime since he had slept so terribly. And he flipped onto his belly during that time. Like when I put him down, at some point he flipped himself onto his belly. I had to go in at the 10-minute check-in because he was crying. But then after that he stopped crying, but he was still like not asleep. But by 7:32 he was asleep. So it wasn't too bad. I did have to go in for one check-in, but after that he had fallen asleep. So then at 12:35 he woke up crying, but he put himself back to sleep at 1:48. So that was actually strange, because the last couple times that he's woken himself in the middle of the night, he's put himself back to sleep pretty quickly. This time I was up for almost an hour watching him. He was crying, but then it wasn't really loud, and then it was just kind of fussing, but it wasn't like loud enough to make me want to go in there, because I knew that that was just gonna make him more mad. He was just kind of in there playing with like the railing of the crib, like the little like playing with the sides of the crib. But then eventually he did go to sleep. 1:48 he fell asleep, so almost like an hour of being awake in there. And the next time that he woke up was at 4:35. He was crying for a bit, but then kind of like the same that he did around midnight. Like he would cry on and off, nothing super hard, but I was watching hoping that he would put himself back to sleep, because it wasn't 5 o'clock yet. Like, it was close, it was 4:35, but I don't want to bring him into my bed until it's at least 5. So he was crawling around the bed, like he was literally crawling from side to side. And I really just tried to step back and not go in immediately. But then as it got closer to 5, I thought maybe he was hungry. I put him in the crib relatively early, like at 7:16, 7:15, which I normally don't until like around 8. So I thought maybe he was hungry a little earlier. So I waited until 5. So he was up since 4:35, and at 5, he still wasn't asleep. So I brought him into bed with me, and he nursed a ton. And then he fell asleep in my bed, and then he woke up at 7:45. That is how night 3 went. I really was, oh, Joseph is here by the way. I was hoping that he'd sleep in a little later. I really wish that he wouldn't be waking up at 4:30. I wish he'd wait a little longer, but I think he's just going through some stuff right now. You know that it's gonna take a while for him to, you know, learn what he's doing. So I'll keep you guys posted and let you guys know how his naps are today. Hopefully they are 10 times better than they were yesterday, because yesterday they were awful. All right, you guys, so I owe you guys a bit of an update, and I think we left off where I was gonna tell you about his naps from yesterday. So yesterday was actually a much better day for Jackson's naps. The day before was awful, but yesterday was much better. So the intervals had changed to 12, 15, and 17. His first nap of the day was at 9:53. I put him down in his crib, but the biggest difference between yesterday and all the other days is that when I put him down in his crib, I put him on his belly, because I had noticed the night before that he was flipping from his back onto his belly. So I think that he may have preferred that. So I was like, let me see what happens if I just put him on his belly from the start. And I feel like that did help him. I think he just got more comfortable that way, and eventually he'd fall asleep. So the first nap of the day, I put him on his belly. Within 4 minutes, he was asleep. So that was amazing, because by 9:57 he was asleep. I didn't even have to do one check-in. So that was a good nap. Nap number 2 was about the same. I put him down at 1, and at 1:11 he was already asleep. So he didn't need a check-in there either. The only thing is that both of those naps were only like 30 minutes long. So we haven't gotten any long naps. His naps have been the same as they've usually been, but at least there hasn't been too much crying. And nap 3, I put him down at 4, and within 10 minutes he was asleep. So naps were all really good. I didn't have to check in on him once. He was really tired, but like I said, I'd love to see his naps get a little longer. Jackson is over here in his little high chair, by the way, and I keep giving him a teether, but he keeps dropping it. So that's what I feel like I spend my entire life doing now, is like picking up stuff that he drops whenever he's in his high chair. And even though his naps were really good yesterday, nighttime is where he kind of gave me a harder time. I put him down at 7:40, and I had to go in at the 15-minute mark, because at 15 minutes he was still crying. So the intervals had changed for that night, and it was 15, 17, 20. He was just not having it. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, so I actually felt really bad that time. So I went in there and I passed my arm like all over his back, and I like tried to calm him down. He was still like on all fours, but he had been like up on all fours and like swaying side to side. So I just like passed my arm along his back and along his head, and he actually passed out while I was doing that. So that's how tired he was, but he was fighting it. So eventually I got him to sleep, and then that was like around 7:56 that he was asleep. The next time that Jackson woke up was at 2:41, and he was back to sleep 3 minutes later. So he woke up and then put himself right back to sleep. And then the next time that I remember waking up was at 6:12 this morning. So that was a pretty good night, because he didn't wake up too many times like in the middle of the night, and 6 o'clock for a wake up time is way better than like 4:30. So I was happy this morning. At 6:12, I went into his room, grabbed him, brought him back into my bed. I nursed him, and then we were up by like 8. So yesterday was a really good night. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. So hopefully today his naps will continue to be okay with not so much crying. My biggest thing though is working on those naps and getting them to be longer. I don't know, I may consult with someone. I may maybe call up a sleep consultant. Like there's a bunch of places where you can schedule a call, like they charge you money. But I really want to work on his wake windows, like making sure that I'm putting him down for his naps when he's supposed to, appropriate to his age, because now that he's 7 months old, I don't know if I need to keep him up longer. But the problem is that he's already like cranky by like 2-hour wake windows. Like he doesn't last a lot longer than 2 hours. So I don't know, I may have a call with someone to see if they can help me out, because sometimes when you get the wake windows right, that's when they start sleeping longer stretches. So we're gonna work on that, but baby boy did good last night. He is just chewing up on everything because I think his teeth are still bothering him. But this little buddy is doing really well. I'm very proud of him. All right, so it's later in the day. He is screaming. My anxiety's through the roof. I don't know why this last nap of the day he's been fighting so much. I don't know. I am so like at a loss because his first 2 naps today were great. His first 2 naps, I didn't even have to do check-ins. Like, he was asleep in one of them, he was asleep like in 9 minutes. The other one, he had fallen asleep in 6 minutes. So, naps were great today. But this 3rd nap, it's 5 o'clock now, and I put him down at 4:27. I went in at 15 minutes, I went in at 17 minutes. He's still screaming his head off. And he was tired, he was so tired. Like, we were hanging out on the front porch and like he was yawning, he was rubbing his eyes. So I don't know what to do. Like, it's just really hard. I went in there to check in on him now and I was so tempted to just take him out of the crib. And I may still take him out of the crib. Like, if it takes him any longer, like if it takes him more than 5 more minutes, I'm gonna take him out because then I don't know that he's gonna sleep. And this is just terrible. It's just not fun to hear them cry. I've told you that usually like my threshold for crying is like 15 minutes. And I went in there and he is drooling. So I think his teeth are bothering him. I think that we picked just like the worst week, honestly, to start sleep training. I really want him to settle down and go to sleep. He's down on his belly now because he was like up on his arms and now he's kind of laid down, so maybe he'll actually go to sleep. But here we are. I don't even know what day we are, but it's not the first couple of days. We've been doing this for a little while, and you know, just to show you that there can be some progress in some areas and then there can be some setbacks in other areas. If you guys are struggling, just know that you're not the only one. That's him. I don't know if you can see him. He is not a happy camper. No. What are you doing, Riley?
Calling Jackson's
What's happening to Jackson?
He's crying.
Yeah, he's crying.
It's only have to in the crib.
He's in the crib, yeah.
It's only when it's crying.
And here we are. I couldn't do it. You guys. I couldn't do another 20 minutes of that after 15 minutes and 17 minutes. So I guess I suck. I guess I suck at sleep training. But I couldn't do it. Now, some days I'm a little stronger, but I was not very strong right now because I feel like if he wasn't like teething so much, or if I didn't think he was like hurting, maybe I could be a little stronger and let him cry a little longer, but it's just not the week for that right now. So I'm gonna cuddle him here on the couch and hopefully he'll sleep tonight. I need you to sleep tonight because I do know that he's tired. He's been, like I said, just rubbing his eyes. You're gonna be okay, little dude. Hey guys, so it's the next day here with little Jackson. Last night he actually did pretty well. Last night, oh, he's getting sleeping. Last night there wasn't really any crying involved because he fell asleep while I was nursing him. Since he had missed his other nap, he was so tired that when I was nursing him at night, he fell asleep. So he went to bed at 7:30 and then he did wake up at 11 and he was moving around in the crib, all of that. Same thing he's been doing, but by 11:17 he was back asleep, so didn't go in there. And then the next time he was awake was at 3:23, and he must have put himself back to sleep because I fell back to sleep and he, you know, didn't need me to go in there. And then the next time that he woke up was at 7:10 this morning, and that's when I went and I brought him into my bed and I nursed him and stuff, and he didn't go back to sleep after that. But I mean, 7:10 I think is a pretty reasonable wake up time. So that's what I've been hoping for, that we can get like a wake up time like 7. Like, that's definitely better than me having to wake up like at 5 in the morning and go and get him and stuff. So we'll have to see what his schedule actually ends up looking like, but at least last night was a pretty good one. Okay, so I'm gonna whisper because Jackson is asleep and I'm about to go to sleep. But I wanted to talk to you guys about Jackson's naps today. So I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I feel like overall his naps today were so much better than they were yesterday in terms of the put down. So today there was very little crying, thank the Lord. It just helped me have like so much more of a pleasant day without like tons and tons of crying. So his first nap of the day, he really only cried for maybe like 7 minutes, if that. And then the second nap, less than 10 minutes also. And then nap 3 was literally 5 minutes. So I feel like he went down easily, not so much crying. I think it may have something to do with the fact that I kept him up a little bit longer. So not by a lot. Like normally after a 2-hour wake window is when he's ready for his nap. But I kept him up maybe like to like 2 hours and max like 20 minutes. So like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I put him down, and I don't know if that's the reason why he didn't cry as much, or I don't know if he's just feeling overall a little bit better. So I was really happy with his naps today. The only problem is that they were so freaking short, okay? His first nap was 24 minutes long. Second nap, I don't have here, but it was also like 30 minutes or less. And then the last nap was also the same, like 20 minutes. He had very short naps today, and that sucks. I really want him to get to the point where he's napping longer. So a win in the sense that there was less crying, a loss in the sense that his naps just, they need to be longer. And I've tried like leaving him in his crib a little bit longer after he wakes up after that first sleep cycle to see if maybe he'll put himself back down. But that's something that we're gonna have to work on. Like all I want is for him to do just one long stretch at some point. And if he does that, I'll be really happy. So I'll keep you guys posted on how he does tomorrow. But as of right now, I'd say we're definitely making progress in the put downs, or at least today we did. But we need some longer naps. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, so it's the next day. This little update got away from me today. So it's like the end of the day, and I'm trying to fill you in on how he did last night and today for his nap. So I want to start off by talking about how he did last night. Last night was actually pretty good. We actually had a pretty good night. He went to sleep like around 7:25. He passed out nursing. So I feel like I have to go back and watch the footage. I don't know if we've had more nights of him falling asleep on the boob or if he has actually gone down on his own, but I'm not being like super strict about it, okay? Like if he falls asleep while he's nursing, I'm letting him do that. And then the same way, like if I see that he's nursing and he's not falling asleep, then too bad, then he has to go to his room. But I'm not putting that pressure on him, like, you know, where I have to be watching him and is he drowsy, is he going to sleep, oh no, wake up. Like if he falls asleep, it's fine. Last night, that's what he did. I nursed him, he fell asleep, and he slept from 7:25 until 11:30. At 11:30, I think I had either just fallen asleep, I'm pretty sure I was like about to fall asleep, but I was woken up by him in the monitor. And that's okay, he woke me up, but then he went right back to sleep. I'm not exactly sure how long it took him to go back to sleep because honestly, I passed out. I passed out and he stayed sleeping until 3:43. So at 3:43, he did the same thing. He woke me up, woke himself up, but I didn't have to go in there for any check-in because he put himself back down until 5. At 5, he did the same thing, woke me up, put himself back to sleep, and then the next time he woke up was at 6:19, and then that is when I went to the room and I picked him up and I brought him into my bed and he nursed, and then we kept sleeping for a couple hours. I'd say that's a good night because any night that I don't have to go in there to do any check-ins, like that's a good night for me. If I can just be in my bed and he can learn how to put himself back to sleep, that is a success. That's what I am calling a success. But still, yes, was I a little tired? Absolutely, because let's see, I woke up at 11:30, at 3:43, at 5, at 6:19. Like there were a lot of times when I was waking up, but I will take that versus Jackson in my bed waking me up all night long while he's comfort nursing or being in the pack and play and not wanting to go back in the pack and play. Like I will take this scenario any day. So that was the nighttime sleep. Today for his naps, they were pretty good. I think if I remember correctly, it's like all of these days are being like blurred. But today we had really long intervals. So what we were doing today was 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and 30 minutes. And I may have lost track of the intervals, honestly. When I was looking back at my notes, I was like, wait, did I do this right? But we were today at 20, 25, and 30. So his first nap, he was asleep within 9 minutes. So 9 minutes of crying. Again, the same thing that we're running into is just that his naps have been super, super short. Even though I think his second nap today, we got up to 40 minutes, which is like the longest nap he's taken like all week. So hopefully with time we'll get some longer naps, but so far they've been like literally 28 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe 32 minutes, but really, really short naps. So the second nap of the day, that was the one that was 40 minutes. What was different was I put him down into his crib with a teether. So I had been putting him all this time in his crib with nothing, like no lovey, nothing at all, but this time I put him with a teether, and I was curious to see if that would like keep him up longer, or if like I had like screwed up by putting the teether in the first place. But I don't think it really affected his nap at all. Within, let's see, let me do math, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, within 6 minutes he was asleep. So that was a great put down, because 6 minutes of crying and he was asleep. His third nap of the day was the same. He actually did great. Within 9 minutes he was asleep. What we've noticed though is he has like a corner of the crib that he scoots to. Like he scoots to the corner, and now he puts his like arm out through the little like the little holes in the crib. So I don't know if I need to like get like one of those little mesh bumpers or what I'm gonna do, because he keeps putting his arm there and sometimes he starts crying because it gets stuck or he doesn't know how to get out of it. So I have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully he kind of stops doing that, because it's kind of annoying, but we'll just see how he does. But he has been kind of scooting towards the corner, like the left corner of the crib, and then he puts his arm out. So I don't know why he would want to sleep like that. That's it. Tonight, actually, the put down was a bit harder. Like tonight's put down that I'll talk to you guys about in the next clip, it was rough. I was still doing the 20, 25, 30, and it was bad. We did have to go in at the 20-minute mark, and then eventually he fell asleep, but it was like almost 40 minutes of crying. Like it was a lot of crying. So that I didn't really like. Hey little dude. Hey. Look at him going after my phone. Like his favorite thing to do. So good morning, guys. Last night, little Jackson did so well. I'm so proud of him. Gave us a hard time putting him down. Like, I think I started talking to you guys about this in the other clip, but I did actually have to go into his room after 20 minutes of crying last night. And then he kept crying for almost another 25 minutes. Luckily, he fell asleep before the next check-in, but it was like a good 40-something minutes of him being upset. But once he was asleep, let's see what time he actually fell asleep. He finally went to sleep at 8:19, so almost 8:20, but he slept all the way until 6:15 this morning. So this was like the first night that there were no like him waking me up through the monitor or like letting out a scream and putting himself back to sleep. I think he slept straight through, or at least he let me sleep straight through until 6:15, and that was freaking glorious. So at 6:15 I went to his room, grabbed him, brought him back to my room, nursed him, and then he kept sleeping till like 7:40. So this little dude is either feeling better or is getting the hang of it, but he got a full night's sleep, and I am so happy. I just flipped the viewfinder so you can see himself. He got all excited. Yeah, that's you. That's you, little buddy. Hi. So wish us luck today on his naps. But anyway, I think that's like a whole week's worth of updates. I think I'll go back and check, but I think we may be done. All right. So that was a week in a nutshell of sleep training. That was our first week, and I think that we did pretty well. I honestly was pleasantly surprised with how well Jackson has done. There's still areas that we have to work on, right? We have to work on the length of his naps, and I would hope that at some point there's really not even 10 minutes of crying when I put him down for his naps. I know that this is a process, and I just wanted to show you what 1 week looks like. Who knows, maybe next week will look different. Maybe it'll be worse. I mean, I'm hoping that's not the case, but just understand that with sleep training, there's highs, there's lows, there's days that your baby is doing great, and then there's other days that your baby is just sleeping on your boob. No baby is gonna be perfect. No parent is gonna be perfect. All of us here are just literally trying to do our best, and we're all trying to survive and figuring this out one day at a time. So that's what I hope that I showed you that I did this week. And I hope that this gives you some inspiration if you're thinking about sleep training your little one. Again, I always say this isn't for everyone. I know that there's some parents that can't even stand to hear their baby cry for a minute, and I feel you. I understand. Like, when my child is crying, it's not fun. I have a lot of anxiety, and so for some people, that's just not it. For some people, there's other methods you may want to try. But for me, I was really confident that this was going to be the best method for us with my toddler running around here. I really needed to get Jackson's sleep in order. So I am 1,000 times happier today than I was a week ago. I'm so happy that, you know, so far the nights haven't been awful, that we really didn't have to do like a million check-ins. I know that there's some mamas that will message me sometimes and they'll be like, I can't do this, you know, my baby's throwing up in their crib from crying. If your baby's throwing up, I would highly recommend that maybe you talk to your doctor. Like, that has never happened to me where my babies, either one of them, like have thrown up from being so upset crying in their crib. I think if that happened to me, I would definitely reevaluate my situation. I don't think I could deal with that. But everyone's situation is different. You know your baby better than anyone. If something like that were to happen, I would probably just call up the pediatrician and say, this is happening. Do you think I should maybe stop for a little while? Remember also that there's no like rush to the finish line. Like, you can do this as slowly as you want to. Ferber has recommended intervals, but if you don't feel comfortable with those intervals, if you don't feel comfortable going from 15-minute check-ins to 20-minute check-ins, and now every time after that it's half an hour, at the very end I think it's half an hour intervals. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you don't have to stick to a specific chart. I think the most important thing is that you just stay consistent with whatever it is that you choose to do. And I think that the Ferber method just does a really good job of giving you a guide and giving you some direction, because if you told me to just sleep train my baby and just let him cry a little bit, I'd be like, okay, what, like, is 1 minute enough? Like, do I go in there? You know, so Ferber gives you a good guide to help walk you through that, but that doesn't mean that you have to stick to it 100%. But yeah, I will keep you guys posted here on my channel on how Jackson is doing with his sleeping. So if you guys aren't subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe, hit that red button. I post a lot of videos like this with things that we're going through right now. I'm posting also stuff about baby-led weaning, because I'm just starting to baby-led wean Jackson, have him eating finger foods and stuff like that. But I also post a lot of daily vlogs. That's what I love to film and just show you my crazy life with 2 kids. I'd love to have you here on my channel. That's really gonna be it, because I'm sure you guys are busy. You guys got stuff to do. You have little kiddos that you're attending to. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you to pieces. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.